Welcome, Prachi. Thank you so much for doing this with me.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
So, let's just dive right into the topic, I guess. According to you, what is the difference between Indian and UK education system?
I think this is a very good question. That is given, and but I went there with that mindset that yes, I am going to get slapped.
Hi, guys. If you are someone who is wanting to know what it is like to study in the UK, or if you're planning your masters outside, then this is the right stop for you. Joining me today is someone who has recently completed her masters in marketing with a specialization in buying behavior from the UK. She is an alumni of Brighton University. My beloved friend, Prachi Deole Marathe. I am Aishwarya Hirlikar, a career coach specialized in international studies. I make videos on travel, careers, and studying abroad. So let's get started. So firstly, I would really want to know that, why did you choose UK over other countries? And at that point of time, were you preferring or considering any other options?
Right. Okay. So this goes back to a really long way, but I had UK in mind specifically because I had a subject in mind. Basically, before even I started looking for my abroad options, I had specifically in mind what I wanted to study and
Right.
which was not available in India at that point. So, and that was biobehavior. So, I did consider options. I had considered Australia, I had considered Canada even, but the specifications are very different than what I actually envisioned to do myself. So, that's when I came up with the UK option. And most importantly, it was more about the curriculum that I opted for in the UK. So, and the first language is English. So it's kind of easier for us as Indian students to go there and adapt. If the first language is not English, for example, in Europe, say for example, so it gets a tad bit difficult. So
Right.
that was not my first choice. My first choice was a
English
country
speaking.
where the first language is English, and British English is something that I had studied prior in my masters. So for second masters, it helped me a lot. So I think I did consider other countries option, but my goal and focus was UK. The reason being the particular subject and the particular curriculum as well.
Right. So basically, it is first you choose the course that
Yeah.
you want to, actually study, and based on that, you evaluate the countries.
Yes.
Because I've seen this trend. A lot of students these days, they have a country in mind. Maybe it's just the dream country or fancy living somewhere, and then based on that, they evaluate the course. The
Right.
course kuch bhi chalega, but I want to go to US. I want to
Okay.
go to UK. So
Yeah.
I don't think that is the right approach. You should have maybe your goal set, that what you want to do, where do you see yourself maybe couple of years down the line, not a concrete plan because
Yeah.
things do change,
For sure.
but and then based on the course you have to evaluate the country, right?
Yes, I do suggest going for that, because if you do the other way around, that means you want to be a part of the lifestyle and not the part of the curriculum. So I think you need to be very sure about what your vision and goal is before you go abroad.
Perfect. So moving forward, how early basically did you start with this entire process? So just tell us your timeline and how early the student should actually start, properly planning for their process if they want to. Let's say you went for fall intake, right? Fall or spring?
I went for spring intake.
Spring intake. Okay. So what is the difference between fall and spring in UK? Is there any major difference? Any courses that you don't get in spring that you get in fall? Because a lot of people here in India, a lot of consultancies, they push more for fall intake, saying that opportunities are lesser in spring.
Yes, that's true. So what happens in fall intake is you get placements at hand, which in spring intake you don't.
Okay.
So basically, for job opportunities, when you finish your degree, the job opportunities are much more due to the placements in fall intake, and in spring intake you have to do everything on your own, so
Okay.
from scratch. But I wanted to do that, so I opted for spring intake. Honestly,
Right. And actually, during your time, I remember it was COVID lockdown also going
Yes.
on, right? So you did, I guess, first 1 month from home in India, like
Yes.
online mode.
Yes. We
Right.
were actually remote for a month. My
Mhm.
orientation was remote. I couldn't go to the college, and I was very afraid that whether it will again be offline or I have to do it online. But it changed. Luckily, everything changed when I stepped in the UK, and I appreciate that it changed. Otherwise, it would have been remote even if I went there. So, sorry, can you come up with a question again?
Yeah, the timeline.
Yeah, so I think the timeline starts in your mind. It's just the execution begins much later, but the process begins in your mind first. For example, if you want to connect the dots with a particular subject, or if you want to study this particular subject ahead, but there are no opportunities in the Indian market for the same. I think that's when your process starts,
Right.
because the process doesn't start from you applying to any particular university. It starts from your vision. It starts from when you have started thinking about a particular course, a particular professor that you envision of teaching you. That is also part of it. And so basically, from execution, I'll say I started from 6 months back. With my application, I waited because I wanted scholarship as well. So I started much earlier, and for applying scholarship, it took me around 1.5 months. So I did start my process 6 months earlier.
And did you give any exams at that time? Anything is GRE required, by the way, for UK, or is it like only for technical courses? They do prefer GRE, but that's also one of the confusions that students have, because they feel that because US universities, a lot of universities they do, and they give preference also to GRE. Now it is waived off, but still students go 2 steps ahead and they take their GRE, even retake it sometime to improve their scores.
Right.
But how are the UK universities with respect to this?
So in UK, it's not necessary. Many of these universities, like my university, did not have an entrance exam. So, but it did have like tons of scholarships. So that was a very good thing, and I applied for like each one of them. So it's good that you apply for every scholarship that you take in place.
But how do you, again, sorry to cut you, because this is important for the students also to understand, how do you actually look or browse for scholarships? Because very limited information is available directly. So how did you do this research, that what kind of scholarship options are there? Because a lot of students, I feel, miss out on good schools just because of the financial constraints, because they're not aware.
Right. The good thing about every university in the UK is they have a whole lot of section talking about just scholarships. So when I had contacted, I remember when I got into the university, I got selected. One of the Indian representative of the University of Brighton contacted me. And that's when I went ahead and asked her the process of applying for a scholarship, and that's when she guided me on it. And then she started giving me information which was not that readily available on the university website, but still from that Indian representative you get a lot of information. So I always suggest some people who are going abroad, when you get into a university, always contact the Indian representative of that particular university. Or there are a lot of Facebook groups, or there are groups on Twitter who talk about these scholarships. So please make sure that you be proactive in terms of this, and please talk about what are the scholarships, what is the percentage of scholarship that you can get, because it does differ university by university, as it's subjective with regards to every course. But yes, the information is available, not readily on the website for sure,
but you have to dig in.
Yes, you have to dig in.
And basically networking should also start, I guess, from day one. A lot of times students go there and then they start networking. They don't even take those efforts of reaching out to other people. These days what I have been seeing is people do take efforts. They go on LinkedIn, find the alumni of that university. But I guess that's not enough. Like you mentioned, you have to reach out to the university's reps also.
Yes,
that helps a lot, because you're ultimately going to that university. You need to know a lot of things about the campus culture, options available, what it is that the university has in store for you. And this is something I don't think you won't easily get anywhere.
No, that's true.
Talk to people.
Yes, you have to dig in, and at that time you cannot be thinking about whether I'm doing the right thing or the wrong thing. There is no such thing. It's just you just have to just step out and just talk to people as much as you can. You have to connect with people on LinkedIn. You have to connect with people on Facebook, and you have to talk to them about the curriculum. You have to, even one very important thing which I did and which really helped me was I researched about the professors in and out, the people who are going to teach me. It's readily available on the curriculum that who is going to be your course leader, who is going to be
The faculty background.
teaching you this subject. So if you Google them on LinkedIn, if you know their background, it's much easier for them and for you to understand their pedagogy. It's very easier for you to just fathom what they're talking about.
Right.
So I suggest you do that as well. It's an additional research, but it does help you.
Also, one more question, since you talked about researching about the faculty background and all. So a lot of times, what students do these days is they just go on LinkedIn or university's website. They research the names of the professors, the faculty,
Yeah.
and they try to brag about these things or just talk about these things very like artificially in their essays. So how
Okay.
like I don't think that is the right way, but again, for some students it has worked, some students it doesn't, because for example, if you want to write an essay, SOP, statement of purpose for the university, so you will just 10 minutes before writing that draft, you will go on the website, check for the professor's background, search those professors' names on LinkedIn, and then just include, I've been following work of this professor since long time and I'm interested in this the same research area that this professor is working on right now. So these things do happen. So to what extent students can do this smartly or they shouldn't?
Frankly, personally, I think they shouldn't, because this comes at a very later part. SOP is something, statement of purpose is not about the professor. Statement of the purpose is basically you. Right. You personally, a student who is going there to learn, and why. Just, why are you going there to learn and why this particular university. So professors always come in picture when you step into the university. It's a different thing that you research about the professor and keep it in your mind when you have their lectures, because it's very fascinating as you've already researched about them. But in statement of purpose, I genuinely don't think that you should talk about your professors and their link to it, because they haven't met you ever before you go into the university. So explain your journey, just in short, in the SOP, and just as to why this particular university and this particular curriculum will help you grow in life. That's all. That's all in statement purpose you have to write. Nothing additional. The crisper the better. The precise it is, the better it is.
Right, perfect. So again, one more important question. Now you've studied in UK, you've done your masters, and I guess you were there also for the following 2 years, right? After your masters. So according to you, what is the difference between Indian and UK education system?
I think this is a very, very, very good question. The most important thing is Indian education works on a lot of theories, like a lot of books, but by hearting. The system of by hearting is the Indian education system.
And very number focused also.
Yeah, it's very score focused. Yeah, like if you want to get into a particular university or study ahead, you need to have this much of marks out of 100. They don't believe in that at all. One of the most important thing, there are theories, but there are no lectures. There's a one huge difference. There is no lecture. It's a very, very healthy discussion. I have never attended a single session where the professor is just blabbering, just talking, where the students are understanding nothing. It's all about you learning from the professor and the professor learning from you. Even if the professor is a PhD himself or herself, they never brag about their degree. They never brag about how good they are as a teacher. I have never seen that. And secondly, it's very, how do I put it? There is no pressure. Like you never feel pressurized that this is the subject you have to learn, unless you're very passionate about it. But I always suggest to go and do a subject which you really like. Otherwise, it gets very, very difficult to just go and study.
So when we talk about the accommodation and lifestyle there, how easy or maybe difficult it is to manage the living in general as a student, international student?
Okay, I think that's very subjective. But I always you need to be mentally prepared, because it's not like India. No one is going to spoon feed you. No one, there are very, very few people who help you basically. So always go with a mindset that I'm not going to get any help from anyone, and then how can I make it? So accommodation, finding an accommodation is like very easy because you get student accommodations before you move in there.
Hmm.
But after going there, for example, if talking about myself, I had visited like around 25 stores, just a resume in my hand, just I think
So you did
almost.
part-time work,
I did.
right?
I
Can
did
you
part-time
tell
work.
us a little bit about that? When did you apply, or in which month after moving there? How early you got that?
When I went there, I took like it was a COVID time, so it was very difficult for me to find a part-time job as per my other fellow colleagues. But they always suggested me to start somewhere. So start somewhere. It was simple for me that after a week I settled in for a week, and from the second week I just took like printouts of 10 resume and just went to store by store, Subway, KFC, Costa, because at that point jobs in the university were not available due to COVID. So that is a very good part-time job as well. So if you want to step into the university, you can always apply for a part-time job at the university in the library. That is a very good thing. On campus jobs. They are very good. They're in the library. You'll be surrounded by books. Nothing like it. So, but for me, it was not an option. So, hence, that's the reason I stepped into a lot of cafes and just inquired about part-time jobs, gave a lot of interviews, and then I just got into Subway. So yes, so I had a heavy duty. I had a 12-hour duty, but I suggest students to not do it. I suggest to only do duties for like 4 to 5 hours, which is good. 20 hours.
Legally, you are allowed to work how many hours per week?
20 hours.
20 hours.
20 hours per week. Yeah.
So, what is a basic minimum wage rate?
It depends on the age basically. So if you are 18 above, then I think it's 8 pounds or 9 pounds per hour.
Okay.
But for me, it was 11.5 pounds per hour. That was the wage rate that I went for.
Oh,
Yes.
perfect. And one more question here, that I would like you to share any incident, anything like good or bad, about just living there, managing your lifestyle, or anything that actually shook you, in just brief.
Uh, I think you get too many slaps on your face. That is given. And but I went there with that mindset that yes, I am going to get slapped. But not in terms of anything negative per se. It was something that makes you grow. It's something that makes you very strong. So first things first, thing that shooks you basically is you don't get any help. That is one thing for sure.
You're all by yourself.
Yes, you're all by yourself. No one is there to calculate your bills for you. No one is there to remind you that this is the day you need to pay your bill. There are things like opening a bank account, for which you require documents. For those documents, you require to contact your university. These are very small things, but if you know that if you screw up in one, they won't let you open that bank account. So that is something that makes you stand on your feet, proactive in a way that okay, it's 9 Monday morning, get up. This is the day that I need to fix these things. I need to open my own bank account. I need to look for a part-time job. I need to sit on the university curriculum and study about the lecture tomorrow. I need to go ahead and get my groceries at a good amount. And see if I get any student discount. That is also a thing, because you try to spend money, because UK is an expensive country.
Right.
So it is extremely important to how you manage expenses. So at first, it was very difficult because you don't know the pricing, you don't know what milk to take, you don't know what washing powder to take. I had mistaken toothpaste and washing powder because they almost looked the same. But yes, it's very common because even though it's written in English, you still feel that it's a toothpaste. And there was not written anything there, and I just picked it out of a fluke. And then I realized that, oh, that's not good. I had picked up a very 1 pound yogurt and then realized that the quality was super bad. So then I thought that, okay, I need to want to at least get a good quality yogurt for once. So these are the things you tend to understand when you go around much more. But I suggest talk to people. It's very important. You have to talk to people. You have to talk to locals. You have to talk to the store members. You have to talk to people in the cafes. And one of the good things, the best things in the country is that no one judges you for what you're doing.
Right.
No one does. And even when I was working with Subway, I don't remember a British person coming to me and telling me that, hey, what kind of a job are you doing? Even if you're a student. So that kind of, makes you more confident. At the same time, it's challenging. It's not like, you come from a 12-hour shift, you go home and the food is readily available for you. No, it's not. You have to go, you have to just, get yourself together, pull yourself together and just cook something for you, just so you don't get acidity the next morning. So I think it's you versus you, and it's you for you,
Right.
and it's you with you. So that is
Absolutely.
very important.
So it's not very easy as it looks. A lot of students have this mindset like I'm just going, I'll be there alone and I'll just party and have fun. It's not all glam. So I believe it's a lot more difficult, to stay there, manage everything on your own, because we are all pampered here in
Yes,
India.
yes.
We have so much help around us
A
every
lot.
time.
Yeah.
So that is one thing. But in general, how are Brits? How was your experience? Are they like hospitable, helpful, kind?
They're not hospitable, but they're not judgmental as well. So
Right.
basically, they have their own space. Basically, in India, there's a very how do I put it? There's a very free. It's the power of freedom in India. Basically, no one knocks your door, just gets in. So there is no kind of privacy factor, which we call in India. So that's something that is very, very prominent in abroad, especially within the British people. They're very conscious about their own space, their private space, and they go their own way. They're not afraid to eat alone. They're not afraid to go to a movie alone.
Travel
So they're
alone.
yeah,
They
travel
all
alone.
want
They
it.
are huge backpackers, and which is you get to learn a lot from them because they go out at the age of 16. And from there, I remember speaking to so many British people about their life. And we Indians are very conscious to just say that, I failed in this, I failed at this. But they speak the same thing with so much of confidence, like, just saying that, so what? I failed 5 times, but I'm back. So we can't say that. It takes a lot of guts for us to say that I failed. And they do it very, very seamlessly, which is something that you need to learn from them because they're not afraid of failure at all.
Right.
And that's what we as students need to learn because even if you get like less marks in one particular subject, that shooks your confidence, and that's not needed. It's just one subject from the entire degree. There are chances that you will get, there are times where you will fail, but that doesn't mean it's the end of everything.
Right. Makes sense. So, coming to the last question for this episode, what are some of the things, Prachi, that you wish you knew before moving to UK?
I think too much of personality development. I had focused on my personality development for sure, but it's much more needed than I thought. The way we always think that physical appearance doesn't matter, and physical appearance doesn't mean you wear expensive clothes and look expensive. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about looking presentable. I'm talking about no chipped nails. I'm talking about
Just the basic
just the
grooming.
basic hygiene and grooming of every individual. That is very important because you meet people there, and when you meet people there, you'll always see that they look very, very presentable. They tend to feel good about themselves. Exactly the reason being they look presentable. The way you talk, in how much of a distance you talk. Do you know any kind of dining etiquettes? Because you go out for dinners with them. So how do you sit? How do you walk? How do you talk? And most importantly, how good, like, how good are you a reader? So reading is extremely important. You need to know what's going on in the reading world, and I'm not talking about Kindle. I'm talking about real books. For example, I think I had read a lot of books before I went there, but that helped me in networking because when you network, you don't know what the other person is going to talk about, and if that is a subject that you're not aware of, then the conversation doesn't go ahead.
Right.
And then you need to have a knack that if you don't know anything about the topic, how will you segue into a different conversation?
Right.
So that is very important. Mocks, because when you network for even a job, there are a lot of events. So you need to step up your game in terms of reading. It's extremely important. Even the way you do a handshake, that is also very important, because they judge you, not judge you, like you kind of make your first impression with these things. So if you don't focus on your personality development, you don't focus on your diction, you don't focus on shows. For example, I had watched Suits when I went there, so that helped me a lot, because that is a series that helps you build that kind of personality, talk about it in a way where people will come ahead and talk to you with a new topic, or with a new topic.
Right.
And it's important when you talk to professors as well about the same, because you have researched about the professors, but if you don't know what kind of subject they're going to teach you, or like I did for one of my professors, I had researched that the professor had written 4 to 5 papers. I couldn't go ahead and read those papers, but I knew for sure that this professor is into this subject. So it's very important for me to know that subject before I go and talk with him about it.
Right.
So yes, reading again, one of the most important things, and learning fewer tickets.
Wonderful. So I guess that's about it. Thank you so much again for doing this. for
Thank
us.
you. Thank you so much. I think you're doing a great job telling students about this. This is very important, and get going, guys. Good luck.
Thank you so much.